Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Hey again. Welcome to the Speak Life podcast. This is your host, the one and only Shika. We are so happy that you're here with us today. Today we have a new guest. Her name is Winnie Green, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself. She's the one and only Winnie Green. Like she's unique. She's definitely another one and only. So go ahead and introduce yourself to us.
Thank you. So Winnie Green, married for 16 years to the Bishop Marlon Green with 2 boys, and we are pastors. Youth ministry is in my heart, definitely. And for the past 4 years, I've been able to host a conference for women called Jewels and Jeans, which you were one of my first speakers.
Awesome.
And I think it's been probably about 4.5 years. I've been doing a prayer ministry called Women Who Pray, and most recently last month launched our website called requiredwomen.com.
Ooh.
And I'm just really excited. So I think for me it's just like servant. I just want to do what God wants me to do. I love to have fun. I love people, love women, love energy, love life. And so I'm just really excited to be here. So thank you to you and your husband, and I'm ready to speak some life today.
Amen. All right. I know we're not in church, but yeah, I got to say amen to that. I agree. But before we get into the topic of today, I just want to say thank you for our listeners, the subscribers. Thank you so much. And thank you again for everyone who purchased the book, When Three Roads Collide, a Memoir of God's Grace. I just want to say thank you guys for purchasing. And again, you could get the book on Amazon. You get it from us. You can get it off Google Books, like any online bookstore. You can find that book, When Three Roads Collide.
Well, can I put a plug in?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so that book was given to me as a gift and really appreciate it. And it was dropped off at my house. And you called me like, did you look into the book yet? Did you look at what I wrote for you? And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't look into it. I was so busy. And I think I picked it up. It was probably like 4:30 in the afternoon. And I was in my husband's office on the couch, started reading it, and I couldn't stop. I read the whole book in like one sitting. And it's crazy because I thought I knew you. I thought I knew your husband. This book was like, oh my gosh. Like I had to keep reading because I was like, what in the world? I need to read the next chapter. And I literally dropped and just text you like, that was crazy. I am 40 something, but that book really just opens the heart. And so I just want to put a plug in for that. If you're looking for something for a young person to get in, to read, to plug in, youth group. I know right now people are just kind of struggling because we're so far. This is a great book to get out to your youth group and get on a Zoom and talk about. Like, it was really good. And I'm serious because I read it.
You can say that. Yeah.
It was good.
Thank you. Yes. So please get your book. You're missing out. Get your book. All right. So enough about like the shameless plug. So we're gonna get into it today. We have a great topic for you guys. What is mentor? So mentorship. That's the topic. So what is a mentor? When you think of mentor, what is a mentor to you?
Listen, that word just had me reflecting on my life. And so the first thing I was like, there are people that mentor you, and it is a concrete relationship. Like, would you be my mentor? But then there are people who gave you advice, who really gave you guidance, motivation, emotional support, because that's all the roles of a mentor. And it can be formal, it can be informal, it can be for spiritual reasons, it can be for growth purposes, it can be professional reasons. Like there are so, like that word is just really huge. We use it in the church. It's sometimes used kind of like parallel with discipleship, but also the professional world uses it. Sometimes they use the word a sponsor. Like it is pretty big. There's like curriculum and a lot of information about it, certifications on that topic. But the role of a mentor is really someone who is an entrusted advisor. And so really that title, you can't tell someone I'm a trusted advisor. The person has to see that you are a trusted advisor. So it's pretty interesting because some people try to be like, I'm a mentor, and no one's pulling towards them because it's a relationship that you can't fabricate. Someone has to see something in you that they desire, and then they gravitate towards you. So I'm really excited to kind of go in and talk about
deep.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, in this, I'm gonna learn a lot because and I chose Monique for this topic because I know that she has a lot of experience in different ways, and her work, the church, like different avenues, and I was like, I could definitely get some stuff from her because I always think, like, I look back and I'm like, I don't know if I really have a mentor, like, and so the topic was kind of like, wow, this is gonna be a hard one for me and a little emotional because so I think of mentor with in a way where it's like you have a relationship with a person and you guys have something in common, and for me it's like, and I always think like mentor is someone who's older than you, usually, who have like experiences more than you. So for me, it's always like, I look at my aunt who passed away and she was more of a mentor to me. And then after she passes away, I'm like, it's really hard because again, for me, it's like, I have an issue with trusting, and you know this.
Yep, it's a trusted advisor.
So it's like you have to trust the person. And that's a big thing for me. And I remember I want to get too deep, but I remember like I always like think and look at people and be like, I like this about them. I like that about them. So I want him to be my mentor. But never really understand, or understand the real meaning of a mentor. So so this is a good one. So the next question is, what are the characteristics that you look for in a mentor?
Well, kind of like what we already talked about. So it's when you see something in someone that you want in yourself. And it can be one thing. It could be the way, let's say, their prayer life, like, my gosh, they're so dedicated. I want them to mentor me. I want them to teach me that skill. And the thing about that is that relationship has a beginning and it ends. I don't have that skill. You have that skill. Our relationship, that mentor relationship, will end when you have passed it on to me. It's not lifelong. It's not meant to suck you dry. And I think that's also one of the things I was thinking about is like, ooh, I've learned a lot. And so when you go to someone, you can really say like, this is what I see in you. And I learned this through a course I was taking, is flattery. So if I go to you and I say, I want you to mentor me, like, give me the summer. I know you're off, you're a teacher. I want to spend 8 weeks with you learning how to meal prep and cook and just be that authentic Jamaican wife, right? Because like, I feel like I can learn from you. And then you're like, okay, I can invest that 8 weeks in you. And I've asked you specifically what I need from you. And then you're telling me what you need from me. I need you to come to my house, bring your own groceries, show up on, like, there's parameters, and it's like, and it's an hour. You're not going to live at my house. You're going to come in at 6, so you're going to be out by 7. And so in that, there's boundaries. I know what I'm getting from you. You know what you're getting from me. It's understood. It's clear. There's a beginning and there is an end.
Wow.
When school starts, should not be in your kitchen. You're like, honey, I go back to work. You got to go. And in that, if you use that example, I think about all the failed mentorships I've kind of been in, because there was no end. It was like, or someone just keeps pulling from you. And it's like, I can't sustain this. And what happens is you actually discount the person, because the relationship should have changed. There should have been an end of the mentor relationship, or the person, you guys didn't establish an agreement. You were supposed to learn from me, not keep sucking from me, right? So it's like, if I was supposed to teach you this, how to be grown and independent, it can't be 4 years later and you're still calling me. I can't sustain that, right? And now, instead of having a healthy relationship, we have a very unhealthy relationship, and your name comes up on my phone, I like cringe. Like, that's not okay. Like, who's calling you? Like, oh my God, this girl I used to mentor and she's still in my life. Like,
wow.
You definitely don't want that. So there's so much to think about. So looking for someone who literally, you see them, you're like, ooh, I want that. Not like you're trying to covet what they have, but you want to grow, and you want that to be something that's in you, because once it's in you, and this is what I love about God, someone else is going to see that gift in you. It's usually someone younger.
Yes.
And they're going to say, hey, I see how you did this. Like, you changed so much. They don't realize that that change in you came through a mentor relationship, and they're like, can you be my mentor? And you're like, oh, but you can mentor that person. You can pass on that skill. And I believe it is a dynamic opportunity in the community of women of color for us to mentor our younger girls and to be mentored by our older women. That is the women of Zion passing on their legacy.
Wow.
Different way to look at it, right?
Yes, that's like, I'm learning. I'm sitting here like, like what? Yeah, but that is awesome, because for me, when I think about like the role of a mentor, the characteristics of a mentor, is like, I'm thinking like it should be like a lasting relationship, and I'm just like, wow, like you just speak so much life right now. And so for me, it's like, and I was sharing this with my husband, and I'm like, I want to mentor, like, I'm like, it could be like 2 a.m. when I'm feeling a certain way, I could just pick up the phone and call them, like, and then they pick it up, like, they're there for me, because, and I'm like, when you were talking, I'm like, wow, it's like for a season.
It can be, yeah.
And it should be, because it's like, there's different people, like, say for instance, if you are mentoring me, I learned from you, I'm better now, I'm a better person, then there's someone else who need me.
Mm-hmm. And you gotta grow some wings.
Exactly. And I gotta be able to soar on my own, like, go out there. So wow.
So the best way to think about it is, you're a youth pastor. Imagine you had a 20-year-old and you're like, it's time to go, leave youth ministry. And they're like, no, I need to be here. At some point, it's like, this is not healthy.
Yeah.
Then you start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? That you don't want to grow and be better.
Wow.
I love that you love me, but I want you to do more and be more.
Wow.
And so what you talked about, that availability, that's also something that gets kind of set up. If you look into like mentoring, there's 4 steps, usually academic mentoring. And the second one is negotiations, where you basically talk about like, here's what I'm going to give you. Here's what I'm going to give you. Here's what I need from you. And so if that was a thing where it's like, okay, here's my life crisis, and I just need you for 4 weeks. But in this 4 weeks, I might call you at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Can you be there for me because of the crisis? Let's say I'm in a mode of crisis, and I've been there before, where you recognize like, this person's in crisis, and so, but it's only for a certain amount of time. So it's like, the phone rings, I sleep with my phone next to me because you're in crisis, and I'm, helping you through this. It's just for a season, not for a lifetime. You know what I mean? We can handle that. We can do that, right? We've done that for people because we know it's for a moment. Now, if it continues, your husband's gonna be like, okay,
something is wrong. Yeah.
Something is wrong.
Wow. I love that, because like, you touch on the youth pastor role, and I've had that where, we've been youth pastor for like over 10 years, and we still have a lot of youths from that time when they were little, now they're adults, and it's like, sometimes like I feel like as mentor, like for me, and I look at them like, wow, I didn't even look at it like that, like I was mentoring them. I was just like, oh, I'm their youth pastor, and I'm just loving on them. I'm just doing what I think what I know I should do. But now it's like, when they get older and they start making their mistakes, and you're like, okay, I invest in you, like you know what to do, and they start making their mistakes, and you're just like, you just want to hold them and like keep guiding them, but you're like, there's a time when you got to let go. And wow,
and part of that is, and that's the thing that's hard, I think, on the mentor role. It's like, you come to me, you ask me for advice, I'm just giving you advice, I can't make you do them, right? And so, but what I love is that all those advice that you gave, they have them. They maybe made the poor choice, but trust and believe they're talking to their friends, and they're like, man, if I call Sheikah, she's gonna be so disappointed in me because like, they know what they know the seed that was planted, but they also know when they messed up. But if it's seasoned in love, they will still call back. Right? With no shame, like, okay, I messed up, but like, give me the advice again. You're like, okay. And I think that's that trusted, you created a trusted place for them, that they can feel safe and go to. And so without even knowing it, you have been mentoring a generation.
A lot, like, and I've heard it all the time where I get called back like, oh, you did this, and I'm just like, oh, did I really? Yeah. Like, I didn't really notice it, but wow, this is deep. This is some good stuff. All right, so the next question is, and I think I already answered that in the beginning, but I'll go back. Do you have a mentor, like speaking right now?
I do not have a formal mentor. I had one for professional, and I say that because it was like they knew my goal and they offered themselves. They gave me resources like, here's the book that we're going to read and we're going to go through every time we meet. And we had an appointment, we had a schedule, there was expectations. It was very like formal. And then they got promoted and then left me. No shade. And I was like, oh my gosh. But you know what? I am a persistent mentee, and I found them. It was like, hey, happy you moved on. Guess what? I need to follow up with you because I have a goal and I want to talk you through. And so I have a lot of informal mentors. I think about people that I respect in life. And when I've hit not necessarily a crossroad, but a major place in life, I look to them for advice. And so I think it's good to have those in your life because you don't know everything and you need to have trusted advisors. And the way they're trusted is you see their life on display. And so I don't want to call any names, but I have quite a few, but the one I will call and go on record is I remember when God called me, and I remember when God put Marlon in my heart and like, this is your husband. I was like, I don't know about this. Oh my goodness. And I talked to two key people. I talked to my Sunday school teacher, was a trusted advisor, and then I spoke to Reverend Hall. I remember I made an appointment. I'm like, I don't know, you never sat with me, but yeah, I need to sit with you. I need to talk to you. I need someone outside of my cultural context that I can appreciate and I respect to talk, just listen to me and advise me. And what I love about it is that relationship is that you don't have to know all the answers. You just have to have a lot of experience, and you just put your experience out there and let the person choose for themselves. Oftentimes we have a question, we actually deep down inside know the answer. We just want someone else to tell us what to do.
Yeah.
But I would say I have a lot of kind of casual, informal mentor relationships, and they cover from professional, emotional, creative. So in ministry and getting involved in stuff like this, the podcast, you're going to need a creative mentor, someone that you see doing this thing and doing it on a higher level. You want to connect with them, not that you're sucking them dry, but you always want to be looking at the next step, the next level. How can I learn? So I'm always looking at people who are doing what I'm doing, but doing it better. And saying, don't give me a whole bunch of time, right? But give me one day. So this whole first lady was a brand new hat for me, overwhelmed. I reached out to someone who was a first lady and I said, can I just spend one afternoon with you? She gave me lunchtime and she just poured into me for an hour and a half. And it changed my life. Wow. That was a mentor lunch date. And we have a relationship, but it's not a mentor-mentee relationship, but she's there when I need to tap in. So
wow.
Very helpful.
Wow. I'm learning so much right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so happy I picked this up. Because I'm pretty sure there's people out there who is having the same kind of, like, or in the same kind of situation that I'm in, like, not really understanding. Because it's like, and I think for me, it's like I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but coming from Jamaica, like being with my aunt, it's always like, and for me, like in my family, it's always said like, we're all we have, or you don't really need anybody else, or like whatever you need, come to me, because, and I think that's where my trust issues come from, because it's like you can't trust because you don't know who is who. So to say a mentor who is not like someone who raised you, it's kind of like, well,
stepping outside.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like, it's not something that I ever even try to pursue outside of like my aunt. And not that she was telling me that, but it's just based on like the relationship I kind of picked up, and I was just like, okay, I guess this is how it is. I'm just gonna run with it.
Yeah, the unconscious things. And I think for people who are listening, hopefully it opens their eyes to say, you know what? Actually, I'm not gonna run around and have like 9 million mentors, because that will kind of be too much. But you know what? For I want to start a clothing line. I want to get someone who does that and mentor me and tell them I want to have 4 meetings just to walk me through launching. And that relationship begins and it ends. I want to, like, you can pick a quality and tell the person. The biggest thing is to tell the person why you want to connect with them. And when you're connecting with them, the trust thing is both ways. I'm trusting you to give me what I need, but that person also is trusting you that you're going to follow through, because part of mentoring is sharing your experience and your stories. And so that person is actually making themselves vulnerable to you. And technically the mentor is more vulnerable than the mentee. If you think about it. So because when someone calls you, it's like, can you be my mentor? You're automatically thinking about your failures, your lacks, what you're lacking, like, but a mentee is saying, hi, I'm lacking and I can't do this.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's the mentees exposing themselves, but the mentor is like, you want me to do what? Like, I have to open that door. So hopefully that helps people who are like, just start a relationship, a small one, because it is a back and forth. There's a give and take, and you should see success in it.
Yeah, it's true. So go back to say, like, I guess I could change what I said before. I was like, I don't have a mentor.
Now you
but
think about it, right?
Yeah, now I think about it as you've talked about all these different things. It's like, I do have people that I really look up to and I pull from in different ways. But again, it's something that I'm going to have to work on, where I could say, you know what, let go a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't have your guard up so much, because you're missing out on a lot because you're so guarded.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you talk about Pastor Hall, because I remember when I was much younger. I mean, I'm still young, but I was much younger, and I was like, my aunt was alive then, and I really felt like, where God was calling me, and I look at Pastor Hall and I'm like, she's so amazing. Like, I see something in her that as a young woman that I feel like I can really pull from her. And I remember, calling her and everything. She was like, yeah, set up a time and stuff, but I never followed through.
It's not too late.
I never followed through, because again, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really gonna have to put some stuff out there. And I was like,
share.
Yeah. And I'm like, but then we can't really share too much, and we can't really talk about too many things, because this is what my culture says, or, what I believe. So I kind of I just never follow up. And it's crazy because I just went through MIP, and she was talking about mentorship, and I remember going up to her and I was like, remember when she was like, yep, but I didn't say no. And that's telling me like the door is still open.
Yeah.
So Pastor Hall, I'll be calling you.
Yeah.
But this is great. I'm just gonna end that question right there. So another question is, how do mentor relationship begin? Who pick who? Who chooses who?
Okay, so it could be either. It could be either. I will say, I think I've been in situations where you see someone, and it's more of like a sponsorship. So you see someone has potential, right? And you're like, if they can just, like I see something in them. Like sometimes someone almost wants to create like their predecessor, like the next person. So if you think about it in youth ministry aspect, you have a young person, you like, I can see them as a leader. And it's like, if they had these things, and then you literally kind of like bring them a little closer, and you start teaching them what you know, and you start giving them leadership opportunities, you're actually mentoring the person very informally. They don't even know they're in that relationship. It's because you see something in them, right? And I'm sure you've done that as a leader. You're going to do scripture, and I'm going to make you, and they're like, why do you keep picking me? And you're like, because you're special.
And they're like, you're picking on them.
Yeah. And that's because you see something in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other way around, where it's you pick your mentor, and it goes back to what's saying, because you know why, because there's a purpose. So when you walk up to the person, like that call you're going to make with Reverend Hall, is like, hi, I want to talk to you about X. And the thing about that is, even in picking your mentor, you're setting boundaries, because it's like, this is what we're talking about. I'm not here to talk about my entire life. I'm not here to learn about your entire life. I'm here to learn about how to study the word, or how to balance my plate, how to, be successful in, work-life balance. It's very specific. And so that way there are boundaries in them. So really it can be either way. But I mostly see people picking their mentors. And I remember the first time, I remember vividly someone calling me. It's like, hi, how are you? I was like, hey girl, I haven't seen you since you were like 12, right? A former young person. It's like, I was calling you because I want you to be my mentor. I was like,
what?
Thank you. Let me think about it. Let me get back to you. And I remember I was like, my heart was beating like, what is it that, like, oh my God, I can't. But it's like, there's something that they see in you that they just want. And it's like, okay, I can give what I have. Because you're not asking me for something I don't have, she's asking for something she sees in me. So if she sees it in me, then I can give it, I can share it because it's coming from my heart. And so you can definitely be approached to be a mentor, or you can approach someone to be mentored.
Wow. So this is another question that I have. As you was talking, I thought about it, and I'm like, we talk a lot about like in ministry and stuff, but like, the fact that this is like also people who are not Christians are going to be watching this. So if a young person who, or maybe not young, middle age, whatever, is watching and they're like, okay, but I don't go to church. So I don't really know how to do this. Like, I don't have anybody in my life, like, or I'm in a foster care or something where they just like, they don't have, you totally anybody.
Create the relationship. I mean, you think about what you have access to. You have access to Instagram, to Facebook, right? To Twitter. You see someone, people are following people, right? So you follow someone, people are doing that like galore. You follow someone and you see their content, and then you just send them a message, and it's you make the ask, but you say why you're looking for it. So if you're a young person and you want to get into photography and you follow a couple of photographers and you find ones that are local in your area, and you just say, I'm in high school and I want to take photography seriously. I'm a single mom, my single mom is raising me and it's really hard, but I really want to be successful and I love what you do. I would love to be mentored by you to help figure out how do I become not just a freelance photographer like on the side, but make it my profession. Can I just tell you, a professional who gets that email, it's like this person means big business. If they're not selfish and they have the time and the resources, it's just this person is saying invest some time in me, or one meeting, tell me how to go, the path to take. You can do that. And so you can do it for anything. You reach out to someone, you're like, what, I'm in this job. How do I get from my position to the CEO? Send that email to the CEO and say, I'd love to meet with you to just interview, to talk about how you got there. How'd you start from frontline staff to CEO? And you make that time. That is a mentored relationship, and they're going to advise you. They're going to tell you they're going to look at your resume and give you some feedback, what to change, what to tweak, what to work on. I recently had an opportunity to do that professionally. It's like, this is what you need to do to get here. You can take this way, you can take that way. And they gave me 3 options to think about. And I was just like, And that was very helpful. And that was asking, it takes guts. You're putting yourself out there to send that email. But what's the worst they can say? They can say yes,
no.
They can say no, or they can say, give me a minute.
Or ignore you.
Or they can ignore you, which is like, no.
Yeah.
But after that, you've lost nothing. But there's everything to gain.
Wow. This is so uplifting. Wow.
Hit send and then freak out. That's what I did. I typed the email and I hit send and I was like, oh my God, what did I do?
Wow.
But,
so at the end of the day, you just need to go
and ask.
Yes.
Like,
just
and know
just
why.
do it.
And know why.
Wow.
Because that's what they're going to ask you.
Why?
Why are you here? You can't be like, because I think
like,
you're
I don't know.
great.
I just see.
Yeah.
I just see something, but I don't know what it is. Like, wow, this is powerful. I had a next question, but I feel like we already talked about it. Okay, so how do you know when a mentor relationship isn't working?
So remember,
and what are some red flags?
Okay, so let's just basic one. Easy red flag, they're not available.
Okay.
Right? Red flag. Like, we were supposed to meet weekly, you keep canceling on me, this relationship is not working. If there are goals and you're we're not going to make me achieve them, but if the resources you're giving me are not leading to any kind of goals, right? And we know about SMART goals, right? That they have to be, measurable, they have to be attainable, they have to, if I can't hit a benchmark with you helping me, this is not working. If you drop off little Timmy for swimming lessons and you've been paying and he still can't float,
it ain't working.
Another thing is, if you're in a relationship where it's supposed to be advised and you find yourself arguing with your mentee, like you put something out there and they're like, well, I want it. It's like, okay, this ain't working. Yeah, why are we fighting? This is not what I like. I ain't got time for this. You ain't have time for this. You don't want, if you don't want what I have to offer, you don't have to be in this relationship, right? And so if you're a mentor and you feel like you're like fighting your mentee, like stop.
So it's not working.
It's not working.
Wow.
They probably wanted your gift, but they didn't want to go through the process. So just walk away.
So what about if like and I don't know if I don't know if I have anything to back that up, because for me, or like, I don't feel like I'm in that relationship where I have or what I consider to be a mentor is kind of like we're in that situation. So it's like I don't really have anything I'm just pretty much taking from you right now, because like I said before in the beginning, this is something dear to my heart, and this is something that I always like want, and I'm like yearning for, but I just don't know how to go. So the fact that like go do it,
just start, ask the
start.
question. Just ask the question. I mean, and I think you'll know when it's not working, because if you go into the relationship knowing why you want to do it, or here's the biggest red flag: if the thing you saw in them is gone. So I reach out to you because I want to learn how to cook. I'll go back to my first example. And when I finally come, you're just like, you're in a funk, you're in a depression state, and like you stop cooking, you start ordering food for your family. So obviously the reason why I wanted to be gleaned from you is just not because you're going through a crisis. And sometimes it's not of a bad reason. It's like this, it's just a hard time for our family. Okay. So, and it's like, oh, I guess next summer then you're like, maybe next summer. That's a mentor like, what happened to your mentor? Like, she's going through a thing, we took a pause because the thing I wanted from her, she couldn't give it, right? So if you were supposed to travel the world with someone, and then they like not traveling anymore, if they were supposed to teach you something that can't be done, like if you had a relationship and it was supposed to be photography, but there's no wedding events, or there's no, so obviously that relationship automatically by default can't happen because of life itself. So sometimes it's not a bad reason, it's just life happens,
and eventually you could get back to it.
Eventually you can get back to it. So
when things get back,
I shouldn't make it seem negative, but there's reasons why it doesn't work.
Wow. Or like, you could have, I look at it like, what about when you have a mentee relationship where it's like, it doesn't matter what you're given, because I have that situation. I have experienced that where like, because I have a lot of young people that I mentor. But when it doesn't matter how much you give, the advice, the goals you set, it just doesn't follow through on their part. So it's like, what do you do do you just be like, you know what, I just can't be a mentor anymore, because it's like, you're not even listening to what I'm saying. Like, it's not working.
Well, I would say that was not a mentor relationship. That was more like maybe a big sister trying to be a big, because remember, the key thing is an agreement. Like, what are you looking for? So usually what happens is we try to slice it. We have these young people we're trying to disciple,
and then you kind of,
and we're like, I'm mentoring you, I'm discipling, because they was like, if someone says, I want you to be my mentor, the question you're going to ask them is, why do you want me to be your mentor? And then you ask, what are you looking for? The idea is to make the person always say their why, because it's going to get hard. So if I say, I want to cook fresh meal, and then I start getting lazy, you're going to say, Wanique, go to the grocery store and get the groceries, because remember, you want your children to eat healthy. That's why you're in this relationship. And I'm going to say, that's right, I did tell you that. So if you're in a relationship and they didn't tell you why, you have no backing to pull them out, because we all get lazy. It's our big why. School, like, you need to do your work. Like, I don't want to do my work. Remember, you said you wanted to get your master's so you can open your own clinic, and you're like, that's why. Like, your why gives you hope. Your why gives you fire and drive. And so what you want to do with that young person is ask the question, what do you want to do in this life? And if they say the thing, you're like, okay, do you really want to do it? And they're like, yes, then I'm the person that's going to help you. But you've got to remember your why. That person sounds like they forgot their why. It might just be like, I know, Sheikah, but I just really want to live my best life.
Right.
Like, okay. So on your road to best life, it's not with me. Check in, I'll say hi, but best life might be like Sheikah Trina down the road, but not right here.
Wow.
Just kind of.
Yeah. That.
Because
there's a lot that I'm gonna have to go back
frustrating.
and listen to this episode and just take notes, like, because I'm like, I can't take notes right now. But this is really amazing, and wow. So as a mentor-mentee relationship, you can't really get frustrated at each other. Like, you're gonna find yourself there, but you just can't let yourself get there. That's what you're basically what you're saying.
Yeah, and then you help the person be reflective, right? So if we have a consistent meeting and it's like, what was the goal last week, right? The goal last week was to read chapter 2. When we get together, you're like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good. Did you read chapter 2? It's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, okay, so what's the purpose of our meeting today? Well, I actually wanted to talk about the reasons why I couldn't read chapter 2, and I feel like I'm stuck. I'm like, okay, we tweaked it. Like, the goal was to talk about chapter 2, but you've come into me recognizing that there were barriers, and now you're saying, I need to know how to address barriers to achieve reading chapter 2. What are your barriers? It could be like, my light was cut off. And so then you hear why the person couldn't achieve the goal, and you're like, I understand that. If that ever happens, you call me midweek. I'll bring you a flashlight. You know what I mean? We problem solve. I'm giving you resources. And in the end, I remind you why. Because your goal is to finish this book by the summer, and my goal is to help you. So whenever you feel challenged, you call me. And I'm here for you, right? I'm just like, you didn't read chapter 2. You're not serious. You're not ready. You know, you can't. You have to ask why. And so one of the things I wrote about is this: you're always asking questions, right? And you're always telling stories, because they're gonna be overwhelmed. Like, it's so hard. The pity party. Woe is me. My life. It's like, yeah, life is hard, right? Like someone said, handle it. You were given this life. It's your portion. Handle it. You don't always want to hear that, but sometimes you do need to hear that. And so you're going to have setbacks. I am like, I'm like, I'm supposed to have done reading my case study by Saturday so I could start writing on Sunday. And I didn't do it. Of course, just I had the conversation with myself, like, now what's going to happen? It's like you just kind of keep checking yourself.
Wow.
And there's different kinds of mentoring. It doesn't have to be one-on-one. You can do group mentoring. There's peer mentors. So what you were talking about, someone your age that, like, I like what you have to offer. You're not my elder. You're not more experienced, but you have something. And so you can be like a peer mentor, right? So there's different types. I've never been mentored by someone younger than me, but I've definitely been inspired by someone younger than me.
Okay. Well, and so when you think about, like, even with someone younger than you or peer mentorship, it's like, I think for me, one of the biggest things that I always, I think a lot, and maybe it's a problem. I'm in my head a lot, but something that I think about, I'm like, sometimes people get over their head. Like if you start telling them, like, wow, I love that about you, it's like they kind of start getting like big headed and just way too, and it's like
calm down, bring it down.
So for me, I try not, like, I could compliment a person. I could be like, oh, I love this about it, but I try not to, especially to put myself out there, because I feel like I've experienced that so many times where the good that I'm trying to do kind of like just get twisted, and I'm just kind of, and I'm just like,
how did I get here? This is not supposed to happen.
Yeah. So it's like I just try to, and I think that's some of the things that, like I said, I maybe in my head too much, but I try to think about like where I'm trying to get ahead of time and kind of play out the different scenarios in my head.
You're just trying to plan life totally. Look at you. You're like, step 5 was not supposed to happen like this.
So it's kind of, and then that tripped me up a lot. And then it's like, okay, Sheikah, I'm just not gonna do it, because
a little bit of a control freak.
maybe with myself, So so if someone, like, okay, we're here, we're talking. So if someone in my case out there listening, and they're like where I'm at right now, where it's just like, okay, you want to get out, you want to find that person, but it's like you think about so much. It's like, what would you tell me?
I would say, honey, stop.
Okay.
So you are planning your life so much that you're not leaving room for flexibility and for growth. Right. And so you have to just like acknowledge that I am planning way too much, and then simplify it. What is the one thing that I want to learn now? Just one. Don't overwhelm yourself. Like, what's one thing you want to really master? And then say, who do I see mastering that one thing? Not everything, because I'm guilty of doing too much too. I am queen of doing too much. God help me.
I know.
One thing. God, just pick one thing and then find someone and just explicitly this one thing. You pray, use wisdom, always be watching. And soon as you see some red flags, you know, this is not a paid thing. If you see a red flag, you pause, you see another red flag, you end the relationship respectfully. Thank you for this time. Thank you for what you poured into me. My schedule has changed. My needs have changed. I'll no longer need to meet with you every other week. And thank you. You send a thank you card. This relationship is over.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we're going to end on this note. This is good. This is a good way to end, right?
Yeah.
This is good. Wow. This is good. Yeah, I'm going to take notes. But wow. Yeah, but thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Monique, we thank you so much for coming along.
This was
saying
great.
yes. Like, I really do appreciate this. Like, you don't know how much this just helped me. Like, a lot. So thank you guys for listening. Again, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Remember that death in life is in the power of your tongue. So make sure, yes, you speak life. Death in life. Speak life. All right. So we appreciate you guys and we love you guys. Subscribe, tell a friend. Have a great day.
Speak life.